Hi everyone, welcome to English Rise. If you want to grow your English and your mindset together, remember to subscribe and stay close to this journey. Let's begin. There is a voice inside your head that never really stops. It comments on everything. On your body, on your work, on your relationships, on your English. It says things like, I am so stupid. I am always late. I never finish anything. My English is terrible. People do not really like me. This will not work. Or sometimes, I did well today. I am getting better. I can handle this. I am proud of myself. This is the language in your mind. You use external languages like Portuguese, English, Spanish to talk to other people. But the most powerful language is the one you use to talk to yourself. You do not always control what happens in your life, but you are always living inside the words you repeat inside your head. They are like glasses through which you see everything. If the glass is dirty, everything looks dirty. If the language in your mind is constantly cruel, negative, or hopeless, your world will feel cruel, negative, and hopeless even when reality is not that bad. Part 2. How your inner language is born. You were not born telling yourself, I am not good enough. You learned that. The language in your mind was built over years, from many places. From the way your parents spoke to you, or did not speak to you. From teachers who encouraged or humiliated you. From friends, classmates, partners. From jokes about you that you heard many times. From comparisons with siblings or colleagues. From cultures and media that say, you are never thin enough, never rich enough, never successful enough. Little by little, you started to repeat those external voices inside your own head. At some point, you no longer needed anyone to criticize you. You learned to do it alone. The original phrases may have come from others, but now they speak in your voice. This is important because it means you are not guilty for how this inner language started. But you are responsible for what you will do with it now. You did not choose every message you received. You can choose whether you keep repeating them for the rest of your life. Part 3. The 3 main styles of inner language. Listen to your mind for a moment. Most people use 3 main styles of language with themselves. First, the judge. This voice focuses on what is wrong, what is missing, what you did badly. It loves phrases like, you never, you always, again, you made a mistake. Of course you failed. It speaks with a cold, hard tone. Second, the victim. This voice focuses on how life is unfair, how everything is difficult, how you have no power. It says things like, nothing ever works for me. People are against me. There is no point in trying. It is too late for me. Third, the coach. This voice is not fake positive. It is realistic but supportive. It says, this was not your best, but you can learn from it. Today was hard, but you showed up. Next time, try this instead. Let us focus on what you can control. The judge attacks you. The victim removes your power. The coach respects you and pushes you forward. You cannot completely kill the judge or the victim, but you can stop letting them be the only voices. You can learn to grow the coach inside your mind. Part 4. How your inner language shapes your actions. Words in your mind do not stay as words. They become emotions, decisions, habits. Imagine 2 people with the same level of English. They both make mistakes. They both understand about the same. The first person, after a conversation, thinks, I am horrible. I sounded like a child. Everyone thinks I'm stupid. I will avoid this next time. The second person thinks, I was nervous. I made some mistakes, but I communicated. I can improve this part next time. Who do you think will speak more next week? Not the one with the better grammar, the one with the better inner language. The way you talk to yourself after an experience decides whether you will. Try again. Hide, learn, or give up. If your inner language is always violent, you will avoid situations that activate it. You will avoid speaking, trying, risking, not only to avoid failure, but to avoid your own internal punishment. Sometimes, you are not afraid of the world. You are afraid of how you will talk to yourself if something goes wrong. Part 5. The language of always and never. There is a particular kind of phrase that quietly destroys confidence. Sentences with always and never. I always fail. I never finish anything. I always say something stupid. I never understand native speakers. I am always late. I never do things right. These are absolute sentences. They leave no space for change, no exceptions, no nuance, no growth. When you repeat them often, you start to believe that your identity is fixed, that your story is already written, that you are simply that kind of person. But if you look honestly, they are not true. You do not always fail. You do not never finish anything. You have days when you do better, moments when you are courageous, times when you understood more English than last year. The problem is not that you make mistakes. The problem is that your language refuses to see anything else. Try to catch those words. When you hear yourself think, I always, I never, pause and ask, is that really true? Always, never. Or am I exaggerating because I am frustrated? You do not need to smile and be positive. You just need to be more precise. Instead of, I never understand anything, you might say, today I understood less than I wanted, but I did catch some parts. I am still learning. This is not weak. This is honest. And honest language is much healthier than dramatic language. Part 6. The language you use about your English. Let us focus on one specific area. How do you usually talk about your English? Listen to some common phrases. My English is horrible. I am terrible at speaking. I will never sound natural. I am too old for this. I do not have the head for languages. I understand, but I cannot speak. I am shy. Maybe you already said some of these today. Notice two things. First, they sound like facts, but they are actually stories. You say, I am terrible at speaking, as if you are reading a scientific report. In reality, you are describing a feeling, not a permanent truth. Second, they are heavy. If you repeat them for years, your brain starts to think, this is who we are. There is no point in serious effort. Why push hard if you truly believe you are terrible and too old? Your inner language kills your motivation before the practice starts. Try changing the structure. Instead of, I am terrible at speaking, say, I am learning to speak. Right now I still struggle, but I am training. Instead of, I do not have the head for languages, say, I did not learn languages well before, probably because I did not have the right methods or consistency. Now I am doing it differently. The difference looks small. Inside you, it is huge. You move from a fixed identity to a growing identity, from a wall to a door. Part 7. How to start changing the language in your mind. You cannot control every thought that appears. The mind is too fast. But you can influence the style of language that stays and repeats. Think of 3 steps. First, notice. For a few days, observe your thoughts without judgment, like a scientist. What kind of phrases do you use with yourself? Especially when you make a mistake, you feel rejected, you speak English, you feel tired. You might even write some of these sentences down. Seeing them on paper can be shocking. Second, question. When you hear a harsh sentence, ask calmly, is this really true? Is it useful? Would I say this to someone I love? If the answer is no, you have a choice. You can let that sentence be the final voice, or you can bring a second voice. Third, replace. Do not try to invent fake positive phrases. Find words that are more kind, more precise, still honest. For example, harsh. I am an idiot. New. I made a mistake. I do not like it, but I can correct it. Harsh. My English is garbage. New. My English is not where I want yet, but it is better than last year, and I am still working. You will not believe these new phrases completely at the beginning. That is normal. You also did not believe the harsh ones at the beginning. They became powerful because you repeated them for years. Now you are training a new internal language. It also needs repetition. Part 8. Talking to yourself like a good teacher. Think of the best teacher you ever had. Maybe in school, maybe at work, maybe in life. What did they do? They did not tell you that everything you did was perfect. They also did not destroy you. They probably pointed out your mistakes clearly, but without humiliation. Showed you what to do differently. Reminded you of your progress. Believed that you could improve. They used language that combined truth and kindness, structure and support. Now imagine, you could talk to yourself in a similar way. When you make a mistake in English, you say, "Okay, that was not correct. The right way is like this. Next time I will try again." When you procrastinate, you say, "I avoided my practice today. I understand why. Tomorrow I will start with 5 minutes, no negotiation." When you do something well, you say, "That was better. I am proud that I tried." This is not soft. This is responsible. The language in your mind becomes a teacher, not a bully. And guess what? Students learn much better with a good teacher than with a constant bully. You are the only person who is with you 24 hours a day. It is worth the effort to improve the way you speak to yourself. Part 9. Who you become when you change the language in your mind. Changing your inner language will not suddenly solve all your problems. Life will still be life, but it will change the quality of your experience. You become someone who does not attack themselves after every mistake, can feel fear without adding insult, can see problems without calling themselves trash, can encourage themselves in difficult days. With English, you become the person who says, "I am learning. I am not where I want yet, but I am moving." So you speak more. You try more. You stay longer in the game. And because you stay longer, you improve more. In other areas of life, you become someone who walks with themselves, not against themselves. You may still feel insecurity. You may still have doubts. But you are no longer your own worst enemy. The language in your mind turns from a prison into a quiet, firm, supportive companion. You have reached the end of The Language in Your Mind here on English Rise. You explored how your inner voice was formed, the three main styles of inner language: judge, victim, and coach, how your self-talk shapes your actions, especially with English, the damage caused by words like always and never, the heavy stories you tell about your English and how to rewrite them, a simple process to notice, question, and replace cruel sentences, and the possibility of becoming your own good teacher. You saw that. You do not control every thought, but you can train the tone of the voice that lives with you. From today on, when you hear yourself say, "I am useless. My English is horrible. I never change," pause and answer with more truth and more respect. "I am a human in progress. My English is in progress. My life is in progress. I will still make mistakes, but I will not abuse myself for them. I will change the language in my mind so that it helps me rise in my English and in the person I am becoming." Thanks for watching.